My name's Rochi Roach. Here we are in Visions of Aztlan, and today we're going to be taking a look at guest engagement. Yeah, let's go like it's I'll introduce you to the artist.
Okay.
How's it going? My name is Alcaide Ramirez. I am a lens-based artist from Anaheim, California. I was born in Santa Ana, but as soon as I was born, my parents had moved out to Anaheim. So a lot of my work focuses on family dysphoria, or a lot of family archives, as well as focusing on our family history, how it came to be, how the material our material surroundings led us to where we are today, and as well as the inequities, the social kind of constructs around us that led us to creating our own identity in the spaces that we're in. Here's one of those pieces right here. This one's called Blessings Through Rejections. It is a mixed media piece full of images. So there's bits of photos here that go through our family history. But I think one of the most important parts of this piece is the background of it. It is created with rejection letters that my father received. To put that into context, my father used to be a merchant mariner in Aztlan, Mexico before he immigrated to the United States, a merchant mariner captain. He came here hoping to continue that kind of line of work, and unfortunately, there was no company, no shipyard that would take him. And because of that, he decided to move to Anaheim, and he decided to create his own family business. So what you see here in the middle is kind of the inception of him becoming a sailor. But as you see, that didn't really pan out for him later on. But through that rejection, if he had, received those jobs, I might not have been here today. And because of that rejection, we received so many blessings, which is all these incredible memories that we have of our family surrounding here. All the way up to quinceañeras, me being born, also just our overall memories. And there's a lot of photos here of just me with my face in cake and, stuff like that. There's also an element of hostility in this piece as well, where we see kind of that overarching system. So this is kind of like a piece that represents the blessings that we received as a family. And because my dad was not able to receive a job as a merchant mariner captain, our family was able to begin and grow and start. So this is a piece that's very near to me, near and dear, and I'm very proud of it. And I hope to continue to work on this piece. This is a body of work called Foods in Nature. And I started this piece sometime in 2019 when I started going to more national parks. Upon going to these national parks, I started to recognize that there was a lot of differences in the demographics of folks that go. that being a lot of white folks and very little people of color. So when I approached these spaces, it almost felt like I wasn't allowed, or I felt out of place to be in these spots. I did a little bit of research and I found that only 9% of people that visit national parks are people of color. So what I started to do is I started to do a little bit more research about how national parks came to be and who were they created for. And upon doing some of that research, I found that John Muir, the father of national parks, had some very hostile and very racist ideas about how he wanted to utilize national parks, saying that national parks were more so for civilized white folks than they were for people of color. And he often made derogatory terms about how people of color, specifically Black, African American, and indigenous folks, interacted with nature. So what I ended up doing here is I completely created a character who is the most hostile-looking character that is enjoying the national parks, someone that they would deem unworthy of being in these parks, but here he is enjoying these parks. And this series is one of my favorite series that I've been working on because all the homie gets to do, this foo, I call him the foo, is he gets to go to national parks and enjoy it and take pictures and show that he can enjoy these things just as much. But at the same time, as he's enjoying these parks, he's starting to realize and see how he does belong in this space, and he's starting to combat ways in which he's trying to combat the rhetoric and combat the idea that this space is only for civilized white people. So this is the Foo Visits Yosemite. Here you'll see a couple of pieces right here printed out of some research that was conducted showing the intent in creating national parks and some of John Muir's views of people of color enjoying national parks. This is Foos in nature, specifically this is the Foo Visits Yosemite. And I'm excited to continue working on these kinds of pieces.
Hi, I'm Miguel DeWallen. I'm the graphic designer.
Hey, and I'm Hoa Pham. I'm a 3D modeler and artist.
Yeah, so we're both here actually representing some of our teammates that actually worked on this. So the concept behind it is done by our friend Javier Mendoza. The person that 3D modeled it was done by John Muniz. And the person that painted it is Kelly Bonet.
Yeah, and we all work together on this as a card game. And then this card game, you play, it's a wrestling card game, like a luchador. And then it's like kind of like Speed. But this is one of the characters, Abuelita. I think her backstory was she had a crush on one of the referees in the ring. And so she became a wrestler herself to get closer to the referee. So yeah, that's how the concept came about. And then our friend Javier got all of us together to work on the game and the concept. So it's just a bunch of like mixes of cultures and people, work together to make this possible. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually been a lot of fun, like expanding on his luchador world. He has a bunch of other characters that are like within the same culture, and we'll probably be 3D modeling the rest of the characters as well, and having the rest of their backstories.
So when Javi was, playing a bunch of card games, he's a card game connoisseur, and there's just not many Chicano or like Mexican like card games out there at all. So his culture is not represented. So he's like, hey, what if I just make one? So he started making this card game. It represents his culture, and he's trying to get into the mainstream so that people anywhere can just play it. And if it's fun, they'll also understand on the cards. There's little like backstories of like the culture and who people are. And you kind of understand, oh, this is the taquero, like the guy who makes the tacos, like people who like make the art, and like there's even what was it called? I don't know. There's just so much characters. You have to look at all the characters. So many like cultural references. And if it gets popular enough, people can play it and understand the culture and get introduced to it. So yeah.
Yeah, and most people could probably relate to Abuelita with the chancla, because even I've had relatives, even in the Filipino culture with itself, very similar. We also have people just smacking kids with the chancla. It's a great discipline.
Yeah.
Art can be fun. Art can be fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
Hi, my name is Ty. I'm 22 years old and I'm Vietnamese American. I often work with drawing and painting, but I like to experiment with sculpture and ceramics. This is one of my recent pieces. It's called Metamorphosis. It's basically about my experience as a Vietnamese American. And as an immigrant, I have to assimilate myself to the American system. Through this laborsome process, I gessoed a bunch of leaves into white leaves, and then I painted them back with acrylic paints. It's basically the process of whitewashing myself and to form kind of like a shield or like a protection. And then back when I got into college, I actually started practicing my cultures and meeting people from my community. That's where you see the leaves starting to turn back into its original forms, but not completely because it's pretty much fabricated. The original leaves, of course, is underneath all of that. When you speak about the word metamorphosis, people think about caterpillar becoming something greater or something more beautiful. And that's what I see in this piece. It is beautiful, but in a sense, it is also sad, right? Because the process of transforming and becoming something else is unstoppable. It's basically a part of like growing up in like a community where at first you don't really feel like you belong, but then eventually you find your own people outside of your communities. Also practicing and interacting with other cultures, other people is quite mind-opening, and it's fun to get to know other people and other cultures and see what's out there. I don't think you can actually work with other cultures unless you have some sense of respect and awareness. And that's where I like to approach in every single one of these art pieces or like collaborative projects, right? Coming in with an open mind, doing research. Of course, I personally don't like telling stories of other people. I let them tell their stories, and I like to help with telling those stories. I've painted murals with artists where I actually went out of my way to research and looking up events that had happened in the past, untold stories, not something that has been sugar-coated, right? And through that process, I was able to learn a lot from other artists, right, and people from those communities. I'm currently enrolled at University of Irvine. I'm doing my Master of Arts in Teaching. Hopefully, I will become a teacher and have my own classroom one day. And I want to bring in to my classroom what I didn't have in the past. So allowing my students to express themselves, bring in their cultures, creating a safe as well as a brave space, right? You want your students to feel brave and safe to express themselves and share parts of the cultures, not something that you normally see in the textbook, but parts of their own lives, their own communities, allowing students to express themselves, right, through the means of creating arts or whatever forms of arts, whether that be drawing, painting, sculptures, performance. We don't see a lot of that today. Through on like a wider range, right? Poetry, songs, writing books, journals. Any of those can be considered art, and just like creating a space where my students has the room to express how they feel, but also express how they want to feel.